Hey there everybody, Eric from OUTER LIMITLESS coming at you today with another video. Now in today's episode of the Out of Doors, Joe and I are back at it again. We are here today to talk to you about a pretty cool topic. Now, do you like K-Bar Becker? If you like Becker knives, this video is right up your alley. Now, if you don't like Beckers, you're probably not going to like this video, but who doesn't like a Becker? And what we're going to talk about today is a Becker for each season. The concept here being, if you had to pick one Becker knife to fit the niche for each one of the seasons, which Becker knife would you choose? So again, Joe and I are going back at it. We have our choices, we have our thoughts in line, but we have a real lot to show you. Today's show is going to be a great one. And if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what we're about to talk about, do me a favor, stay tuned. Hey there everybody, Eric from OUTER LIMITLESS here today with Joe from Survival Attitude.
Good morning, Eric. How are you?
How you doing, man?
Doing great.
Good to be out here on this beautiful fall day, taking advantage of some excellent scenery. Nice little hike in, huh?
Yeah.
This is a great place.
It's a secret spot. Took a little bit to get here, but I think it's well worth it. It's just a good, peaceful place.
So we found ourselves this little kind of secluded place to do some filming, and what we're going to talk about today is a Becker for all seasons. Becker for all seasons, man.
I'm excited.
I mean, it's fall, but we have a lot of seasons to talk about here. A lot of Beckers, a lot of discussion, a little bit of back and forth. And actually, this is not just a discussion between me and you. What do you think?
I think it's good to try, have the audience chime in, because whether it's the Becker line or Columbia River Knife and Tool, no matter what it is, if you got a brand that you're either comfortable with or just loyal to for whatever reason, they make more than one model typically. So I know from, working in colder weather, whether it's a rubber handle or working in saltwater conditions, you may want a stainless. But I think it's important, if you're into the out of doors, that you recognize the right tool for the right condition. And I think today, with the Becker brand being so versatile in its models, how appropriate for a Becker for the season,
And that's a good point. Now, when you look at the Becker line, the reality is most of the blades are carbon steel. I think that's the one sort of downfall in this particular topic, but we definitely get a lot of different shapes, a lot of different sizes, a lot of versatility. And I think that's going to be, for me, the nature of my angle today. I mean, I can't talk so much about the different steels. I feel like on most of the ones that I have today, I'm stuck in kind of 1095. What about you?
I can't complain. I mentioned, on a previous video, my buddy Chris, right? Chris he's a steel connoisseur. He's not a metallurgist, but he researches down to that scientific level. I could describe a little bit of that, but for me, I am familiar with a lot of different steels, super steels, powder, type metals. But I can tell you from a user experience how they perform in different conditions. And the one thing I will tell you is, old school never steers you wrong, okay? Those 1095s, those high carbon steels, don't forget, you're getting affordability.
That's true. You're definitely a lot of value, bang for the buck.
You're getting affordability, value for the buck, okay? To buy any Becker, okay, let's say you're in it for 80 to 150 bucks, fully loaded, customized, okay? You still got a steel that's reliable, it's flexible, it might even be able to be field sharpened. So in the end of the day, I don't care if you're a beginner or a pro, you're familiar with 1095. And unless you are a steel snob, and you certainly, if you got the wallet to do it, you can afford, 4V, you're going to spend 3-4 bills for that knife.
That's a good point.
Okay, and I tell you what, on that, if you chip it, good luck getting that chip out. 1095, you're wailing on it, okay?
It's
you can correct it.
Yeah, a good forgiving steel. It's very easy to field service, and that is another good reason for me, even though we may be talking about a colder season or something like that. Hey, you know, you might get a little bit of damage on your blade, but you can field service it, so that's a big deal. So at this point, we've pretty much set the table. You know what we're going to be talking about. Again, we're looking for some feedback. We're looking for some interaction. Now, at this point, we'd like some comments below, but it's not just that. You're going to have your own photos. You're going to have your own things that you want to share with us. If you'd like to share these, you can definitely share them on Instagram or Facebook at Outer Limitless or at survival_attitude. In both of these platforms, by all means, take your photos and tag them. Hashtag the Out of Doors. We're starting a collection. We're going to start to see what you have for knives, what you have for interaction, and we definitely want to take advantage of these platforms and build a community.
Yeah, and not only that, Eric, I tell you what, it's a really great idea, but even more so, take it a step further, it's the reasoning of why. Why is this knife, why is this kit, why is this piece of gear important to you? Whether it's your one and only, and you have to make it work, and we've all been there, especially when you're in the bush, what you have is what you have. So you better learn to make it work and versatile, even sometimes do a quick repair. I've done a lot of mods in the woods, and I have one that I can show you today. It's pretty quick and easy. But I'd love to understand your thoughts behind, does this particular knife fit this particular scenario, this environment? And why so? Even to the point, compare it to other options.
Correct.
Okay, so people who are getting into it, or let's say you've got just fair weather through hikers, okay, but they want to get into some, let's call it junior level mountaineering, okay? Weight becomes a huge concern, okay? But safety, okay? If you're traversing a rock ledge, if you're any type of, you know, a system where, you know, carabiners and rope, things could bind you up in a pinch. Do you want that blade accessible? Do you want it potentially in a location that it could be strapped in and not at reach if you need it? So going into not just the season, but maybe even the application during that season might dictate what blade you choose.
Excellent, that's a great point. And so I guess with that, we have a number of blades to talk about, don't we? We've each picked 4 blades. Again, 1 blade for each of the seasons. Now, this is not the perfect match in my opinion. It's just our take on it with the blades that we own, with the blades we have in our collections, but each one of them basically turning into a discussion point. I think that's the main thing. So at this point, let's start to bust out some blades.
I'm excited.
I think this time you go first.
Okay.
So I think the main thing to me is we got to stay on the same season, right?
Yes.
It's fall. Do we start with fall?
We can start with fall.
Let's start with fall.
Let's start with fall.
So, okay, for all of you, get it in your mind. If you could pick any Becker out of the Becker collection, which one would you choose for the fall scenario? You can only pick one. Take your pick, throw it in the comments below. So, your pick for fall. Let's talk it through. Give us a little background here.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so pick for the fall. I'm going to go with, you know that.
Oh yeah, BK7. All right, so obviously a Joe mod.
Yes.
Right off the get-go. Did you strip that coating?
Might have.
It feels lighter than usual. Now, I say that because I actually have a BK7.
Okay.
My BK7 has my Carter handle scales.
Right.
So I added those, and it definitely handle weights it. I'm actually pretty impressed at the way this feels with these Grivery handle scales.
Yep.
Again. It's been a long time since I've held this with these scales, but how did you get them with green liners? That's what I want to know. There's more than meets the eye when you get into stuff with him, so you got to look real close.
Of course. You know, I wasn't going to sit there and carve a bowl or a spoon with it, but I did find in the woods a piece of plastic, a sheeting. It was all torn and cracked up, but in the middle of it, it was supple.
Wow.
So I literally, that's a field mod in the bush. I did have, I carried with me my little Allen key for my Beckers. Carved it out, a little roughed it up, and I think it came out great.
Dude, that is amazing. The thing I like about this BK7, to me, it's the perfect size, it's the perfect weight for general bush tasks. It's maybe a little long if you're trying to get into some like carving and stuff, but you can do it. It's great for splitting, it's great for chopping, and this to me is a knife that's actually beat out almost all my other blades in the same size class. I have not had another knife that for me has performed quite as well, and I think it's the overall grind geometry, that actual geometry coming off of that, I'd say a flat grind, but it's not a full flat grind. I don't think they would consider this a saber grind technically, but maybe it is. They also call this a Bowie.
Right.
It's actually not really a Bowie. I mean, that's not a full clip. It looks like a clip deceptively the way the grind is. If you were to ignore that swedge altogether, that would definitely look like a Bowie. They call it a Bowie style, but for me, I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
Interesting. So, a couple quick things here, and you know, I have the K-Bar, you know, Becker brand micarta scales. They do add some weight. There's no question. What I wanted to go for is weight savings here. I tell you what, and when you get familiar with the Becker line, this handle, these scales, they're on almost all the models. And you just get so, your muscle memory, okay, you get so used to anything, but because I worked through a couple different of the Becker models, I'm comfortable with this to the point where I didn't need that extra grip. I actually wanted to go towards back to Grivery. Now, talking about the fall, okay, this is why I chose this knife for the fall, okay. Number one, you are getting into more of a danger zone when it comes to cold conditions. In a pinch, you're gonna have to potentially, you don't want this to happen, okay? I saw a t-shirt the other day on Instagram. It said, surviving is just living, okay? And you really think about that. You just gotta live. So if you have to make a quick shelter, if you need to lop off some bough branches to make a nice thick insulated ground pad, you're not going to want a small belt knife. You're going to want something that has the beginning ability to do that chopping, okay, even to make a wiki up, okay. You're not going to find all this type of broken deadfall. You know it's going to take, how long it's going to take you to break all those sticks, okay. Find a nice base somewhere you can put all your sticks down, do the chopping. I don't even have a pinky lanyard on here. That hook is so critical to a knife, but it's also so signature for the Becker brand that, I mean, it's just not gonna release. So you get the chopping effect, you get the lightweight. There's nothing this knife can't do. Again, colder temperature, if you don't have an axe, you better be able to start do some minor chopping. And I've seen people who didn't heavily modify these, grind that right down, okay, if you want to soften the front so you can get those nice push cuts. But I mean, I just put a little bit of grind on here. This thing throws sparks like nobody's business.
Yeah, that's the thing. These out of the box really don't do a great job with scraping, but again, such an easy modification. You should always think to mod your knife. The other thing I'd like to say about the handles, and in terms of the hook in the back, sometimes the hook is real hard on your pinky. This is not. It does the job, it's comfortable, but it doesn't crush your pinky. And some people, oh, you're gonna crush your pinky, oh, grow up. Oh. Hey, I'm sorry, but that's real. If you're working with a knife for a long period of time, ergonomics is really important. And for all those people that go, oh, you're gonna crush your pinky, guess what? They don't do enough work in the bush to understand it. They don't, because when it hurts and you're crushing your pinky over and over and over again, working for hours at end, I'm sorry, it goes beyond uncomfortable. At times, it can just be purely unsafe.
I know, it's true. Not only that, is that a lot of the tactical knives, they may have a little, you know, hook back here, but a lot of times you're gonna get, you know, the lanyard hole through the exposed tang. You're gonna find that you got some sharp edges. And listen, at the end of the day, is it more important to make a shelter to block the wind, or is it least important if you got a little bit of wear and tear in your pinky? Having a knife is still important, but one thing about the Becker line, I challenge you to find a hot spot.
Oh, there are none.
Comfort all day long.
So I too brought my BK7, but I didn't bring this because this was my choice for fall. This is actually not even in my lineup for today, but just thought I would discuss it. So mine, a little bit different in terms of the finish work. You know, I put the patina. I actually did a video on this knife, and you'll notice I left the factory coating under the scales.
All day. I've done it too, yep.
So this, like I mentioned, does have those micarta handle scales and just feels great.
feels so good. The patina, to see the you know, the milling marks from the steel. And
some people grind those out. I kind of like it.
I like it.
I know it sounds weird. I kind of like it.
I like it. I work to get mine down, but I tell you what, I actually like that better. That's really sharp looking. Oh.
So yeah, mustard patina. I always like it because it has that camouflage look.
It does. You know what's funny? Whether it's the standard Gryvery scales or this one here, it feels the same.
Yeah.
It feels exactly the same.
Yeah.
Not foreign. So if we were both packing these in the fall and stuff went down and we had to hurry up and build that shelter,
you'd be in good shape.
Boom, 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 boom. Hey, pass me yours. You know, your knife is close by. I'm not. Mine's in my pack. Boom. I'm not gonna be like, it doesn't feel right, because that muscle memory, when things get cold, that's when mistakes happen.
Interesting point. I like that idea. The muscle memory when it gets cold. That's a great point.
Oh yeah.
So the sheath.
That's a nice sheath.
What do you have?
I have a basic. It's just a home job. I bought it for the cheap.
It has good retention though. I noticed it. It feels like a real good click.
It has great retention. I did have to do a little bit of adjustment only because the makeshift liners did give a little bit thicker.
Yep.
And this really, this knife for me is often in the pack. So I didn't need to put a dangler rig or anything like that, you know, tech lock, dots lock. I just kept it standard. But also, you see, if I have my pack basket over there, I've got, you know, just the strap on the outside. I have a quick release on it, and this slides right on it really nice.
Oh, smart. That's good.
You know, so it's pack fixed. Let me see your sheath.
Yeah, so
That's
you should
sharp.
recognize that.
AZ Welke. Tell you what, though, that person does some amazing Kydex work.
And tons of it for tons of different blades.
Yep. Tell you what, it's just so attractive. You talk about like old school Kydex work and getting a little bit more sophisticated. Retention and everything is still going to be great, but we've got the nice thumb, you know, the thumb notch and all the form fitting. And it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous looking sheath. To see the retention. Perfect. Oh,
not bad, right?
That's a nice rig.
All right, so your fall choice. Now it's time for me to get into mine.
Okay, okay.
So me, for my choice, and I totally understand the BK7. For me, I'm going off of my collection. I'm going off of the knives that I have. So for me to make a choice for fall would have been a different choice than for you. What I came out with is, ba-boom.
You went old biggin. Wow, oh, look at this sheath.
Do you recognize that sheath? Do you know who makes this? You may be confused.
All right, so, this is perfectly executed. I can't, the thickness of that leather. So right now, which is funny, the maker you introduced me to the other day has a little bit similar leather work, but I think you may have had this sheath for a while. I don't know. It's incredible.
Okay, so first off, we'll get into the knife, but talking about the sheath, if you look here, very small, it says 710.
Like 710.
710 Customs. Does that ring a bell?
No.
710 Customs is now Julio Diaz. Are you familiar with Julio Diaz?
No.
Small maker, but custom knife builder. You'll find him on Instagram and you'll go, oh, okay. Actually, he just did a combination job with Condor Knife and Tool. Or it's Condor, Tool, and Knife, I believe. I always get that backwards.
You are right, yes.
But his new knife with the company is called the Plan A. It's a Bowie style, has a beautiful Kydex sheath. It's a gorgeous knife. Check it out when you get home, you'll love it. But this sheath, man, going back to it, the combination Kydex and leather, how gorgeous is that? But then, housing, my BK9. So very similar in finishes and style to my BK7, but for me, I wanted to have a finger choil. I custom ground that. There is one fundamental problem with custom grinding a choil into a BK9, and that's the fact that it has a very small overall size on the ricasso area. So when you grind the choil in, you end up basically bearing on that thin metal stock. It can be uncomfortable. If you're wearing gloves, it's great. So bare hand, you can get away with it. You can still do some finer work if you need to. It's not gonna kill you, but with the gloves, it's perfect.
It is amazing, that sheath. Oh, don't even get me going. You know, Eric knows how much I enjoy sheaths. You got the BK7 handy?
I do.
Let me see that thing. You got the stainless steel pins in here. Let me see this. So you get a little bit of a comparison. Again, the scales are swappable on a lot of the Becker line. not going to be foreign to you. If someone's got a BK7, let's say a BK2, crewman, 9, you know, let me borrow your blade. Okay, no problem. You're going to start working with it and be safe and comfortable. But going to the 9, you're going to pick the 9 for the fall.
Yes. Again,
tell me why you're picking the 9 for the fall.
Well, again, going back with my collection, part of me knows what I picked for the winter. Yeah, you know, I think for me, the idea being that, again, I want a little more woodscraft. I want the ability to, you know, really chop some wood, split some wood. Now I'm thinking really splitting tasks. I'm getting into more chopping and more splitting. Now, don't get me wrong. You can absolutely get all that done with the 7, but it was just a discussion point. It was a reason to bring in a blade. It was a reason to get it out. And for me, just having that extra little bit of chopping power, the extra length for the splitting, you know, I think for me that's definitely going to be helpful. It could have gone either way. I think the 7 was definitely really a great choice and almost a perfect choice. I just felt for me, for the fall, I'm going to go with the 9.
That's awesome. Good choice. Love it.
So you'll notice too, again, similar scales, only slightly different color. It just worked out well for me where I wanted it to match my sheath.
The sheath, amazing.
And in combination, just ties it just a little bit tighter, a little bit closer in overall color value. Could have gone with the tan, but I like the brown. And the brown is kind of rare. A lot of people asking me all the time, where'd you find those? I can't really find them again. I bought this as a package. It was already put together. The prior owner did a beautiful job putting this together, man.
Sick. The right size, not D-ring, but I can't stand when people put them on, they're too big, so they slide. This is the perfect width. The leather is at least 9-10 ounce. However they condition it, it's durable. That's not going to wear out. I love the taco style and the way they strapped it on for retention. Double strap. That is executed absolutely perfect. The nestled fire rod holder right between the 2 straps. Oh my gosh, this is... That is a nice rig.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, and great for this time of year. Get some good chopping in.
Little heavy to put on your belt, like you were saying, you know, but you definitely can. Yeah. And this thing will perform. So
you know, we're proven.
So that's my choice for fall.
Okay, Eric, I like that.